Welcome back to our morning show visit. Officer Jared Wilson is here from the Richland Center Police Department, and also he is on school grounds again this year at the Richland Center High School facility there. And has it been a good school year so far, Jared?
It has been a good school year. Thanks for having me on today. As far as general safety, it's been good. Also, I've had less reports, less issues with breaking, normal school rules. For instance, compared last quarter to this year, we're down significantly in, specifically speaking, vape violations. Last year at this time we had 13 violations. This year we're down all the way to 3. So that especially makes it for a good start to the year.
Could you talk about vape detectors that you have at the school?
Yes. So the district, in partnership with the Richland County Crime Stoppers, made a purchase of, I think it's 38 vape detectors. It might be a couple more or less than that, but the IT department at the high school has been working hard at installing those detectors in areas like locker rooms, bathrooms, areas that we found to be common places for, unfortunately, students to use a vape device. And we really found that at the beginning of installation last year, we were catching students vaping in the bathrooms. We'd get an alert, or I would get an alert. Principals would get an alert on our phones. We would go to that location and then find the student exiting the bathroom. Throughout some questioning by the principal staff with me kind of on hand, we would find that the student would be in possession of a vape. Citation would be issued. But now that students are learning and community is learning that we have these detectors, it's been a fantastic deterrent to not even bring those in the building. Like I said earlier, we went from 13 in first quarter to 3 this quarter. It's been a significant change. Also, for me in law enforcement, I try to think of, well, are they working or is it the students have found a way around them? But one example to kind of prove that they are working is we would have all kinds of tips that student so-and-so has a vape on them, and then we need to follow up on that. But not only are the vape detectors not going off, we're also not getting those tips from other students that they have seen students with them.
How does the vape detector work then? Does it detect the smoke, I guess, or whatever that comes off of them, or how does it work?
Yeah, so they're specifically designed to detect the vapor smoke that is emitted from your lungs, really, when you exhale that vapor. We have tested them with other products and other things, and they have shown to be very accurate with only detecting that vapor product. So vapor detectors are in the ceilings. The vapor, when it's exhaled, it rises into the air, and then that vape detector can detect the vape smoke. Like I said, it sends an alert to my phone as well as the principal's phones, and then unfortunately the student that's vaping in the bathroom will be caught soon thereafter.
Do you get alerts when adults are there for after-school activities?
Yeah, so that's a good thing to bring up for general public if they're visiting the buildings in our district. The vape detectors are on all the time. Just a reminder, it's against policy at the school as well as state statutes for anyone to be not bringing any kind of tobacco and nicotine product on school grounds, because those vape detectors have gone off during after-school activities as well.
Mm-hmm. Good to know.
Yeah.
You've been in the classrooms recently, kind of educating the youth. Can you tell us about that, Jared?
Yeah, so last time I was in here was a few weeks ago. At the police department, we want to make the community aware that we'd be in 6th grade classrooms teaching our PEAT program, Police Education, Addiction, and Tools, to make our 6th graders aware of what's out there in the community as far as drugs or nicotine products and alcohol, how to recognize it, why it's bad for you, and then how to overcome being susceptible to using those things. So today, actually, this week we completed our 3rd session, and then we'll have one more week next week for our 4-week session, and then we'll pick it up again in the spring and teach the other 2 6th grade classes.
Mm-hmm. How's the reception from the kids?
Seems to be going well. Add a little bit of Officer Wilson's sarcasm and humor, and it makes it go a little better. Officer Dialhoff is great too. She's she's basically the officer that's pioneered this program since we stopped using Counteract. So she's been great. But the students, they seem to enjoy it. And, you'd start talking about the ingredients that are found in these products, like vape devices and other things, and talking about formaldehyde or, other bad ingredients like that. And they're pretty shocked. They see the advertising for the vape, and it might be a raspberry flavor, but you break it down into what's actually in these things, and it's a big learning curve.
I imagine a lot of students say, I'm never going to do that, and hopefully you get the word out that most of the majority don't ever do it, right?
Yeah, we talk about peer pressure. We talk about how your peers may be using these things and making them available to you, and now you know why it's bad. We give you some tools on what to say and do to avoid that peer pressure, to avoid that.
How did it go? You had an event for Halloween as well, didn't you?
Yeah, McGruff from Crime Stoppers accompanied me to primary, intermediate, and St. Mary's to discuss some Halloween safety tips. McGruff usually likes to steal the show, donning maybe a mask or a bright blue wig to match a police department uniform, but talking about correct ways to wear costumes, trying to stay lit at night as it starts to get dark while trick-or-treating, use of glow sticks, going with a parent, crossing intersections and while walking down the sidewalk, proper etiquette when approaching those homes. It always goes well. And like I said, McGruff is always a big hit with those students.
I'll bet. Let's talk a little bit about if the school does have a lockdown or, a shutdown, maybe the difference between those. Sometimes in the community, news will spread like wildfire. Oh, the school's locked down, but it isn't always necessary for something as earlier this year was a medical emergency, I think, when you were shut down once.
That's right. So at the police department, I've always been fortunate being able to go to lots of trainings. Chief Billy Jones is great about sending us to trainings, and one recent one that I attended was on a foundation called the I Love You Guys. It's a foundation that was created by parents whose daughter unfortunately was a victim to an active shooter situation. They started this foundation with procedures or protocols on how to react to an active threat event or other event. So we have incorporated that into the district. It's a lot of the same as far as our training goes and how we react. However, there is some new verbiage, different things that we have to overcome different scenarios, or things such as we still have a lockdown, which would be any kind of active threat inside the building or coming to the building. We have a secure. If there's a threat outside in the community, we can lock doors. We also have, instead of a shelter in place, we now go to a hold, which I think is less scary. It sounds less scary when it's just a hold. You hear shelter in place, and that can sometimes be confused with a lockdown. But a hold can be used for various things, even like you had mentioned, medical event where, in the community we have ambulance calls, and the school districts like their own community as well. We have medical calls as well. So EMS may be coming to the building for various reasons, and we could go to a hold situation.
In a hold situation, then, do students stay right in the classroom then? They don't move to the other classroom, or how does that work? Yeah,
the main purpose of it would be to keep the hallways clear for EMS staff or law enforcement entering the building.
Having you in the building too, you've got somebody on the inside if something does occur, and then I'm presuming officers would come to the building then, and that way you're covered on both sides. That's certainly an advantage, isn't it?
Right. For fast, effective communication, I still have my portable radio, can contact dispatch quickly, coordinate a location for EMS to which door to go to. Just getting personnel in there quicker has been huge for our district.
So you've been there now well over a year. Are you getting a pretty good rapport with the students then, Jared?
I'd like to think so. Pretty active in, lunchtime, being in the lunchroom. I've been fortunate. I try to be on site for areas of large congregation of students. So I got to take in the Grease musical. It was great.
Wasn't that good?
Students and staff did a great job with that. But, got to watch that, but also being in law enforcement, always in the back of your head, when are those opportune times for a bad actor to take advantage of situations? And I always keep that in mind for, where should I be now? And it works to my advantage to where I can, partake in those kind of musicals, but I'm also there for other reasons as well.
Sure. Well, we're lucky to have you, that's for sure. What about Homecoming? Did you get parodied? Did anybody act like you in the skits or anything like that this year, or not?
No, I've been watching for it, custom, skull cap makes maybe someone look like they don't have hair on the top of their head, like maybe Officer Wilson. Not so much in the Homecoming skits. However, Homecoming dance, the DJ started inquiring about maybe a staff dance-off. And I thought, this is going to be great. I'll get to watch the staff and see their dance skills. And then as they went down the list of people who were at the dance supervising, they realized the school resource officer was there as well. And not really a good idea to have Officer Wilson try and show off any kind of dance moves, but I gave it my best.
You didn't hurt yourself, though, did you?
I didn't, no. Some students maybe saw I was struggling, came to my rescue with some reminder dance moves and threw those out there.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to add today?
No, I'd just like to reiterate, it's been a great year so far. We have a great staff at all buildings, and I feel fortunate to be able to represent law enforcement in a positive way for these students.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
You bet. Officer Wilson joining us from the Richland School District on this portion of today's morning show. Welcome back to our morning show studios in WRCO Radio. We switch gears a little bit, and we're talking about Park Street Christian Church here in Richland Center, which is going to be looking at some restoration projects coming up, and we're going to talk about that. But first of all and foremost, there's an event going on tonight at the church, a delicious meal. Joining me in the studio, Lorna Maxwell, Deb Niemeyer, and Ellen Keller-Evans. Lorna, we'll talk with you first of all. Tell me about this meal coming up tonight.
Well, it's an awesome meal we're having at the church. It starts at 4 and goes until we're sold out. It's a warm, or hot, I should say, turkey sandwich and cheesy potatoes and corn and cheese and pickles and bars and drinks. And we would love everyone to come. We're charging $12 for this meal. And this is probably one of the first fundraisers we're doing to raise money for the stained glass window restoration in our church.
Your church is pretty renowned for its food, too, I think. So
yes,
you're getting ready. This is kind of the pre-Thanksgiving meal, too, isn't it?
Yes. Try some turkey before you have some turkey. Yes, yeah.
So this is one of the first fundraisers, you said?
Yes, we're hoping to have some other ones after this to help, pay for the restoration of the windows.
And it's going to be in the church basement?
Yes, in the church. Come in through the seminary side and downstairs. And we would love to see you come tonight for a meal.
Awesome. And everyone is welcome.
Oh, yes.
Good deal. And I know your church is involved in a lot of other things, too. But again, now this is the first one. You'll be doing some things for the holidays coming up and Christmas. And
yes, I don't know what else we have planning, but Deb's shaking her head.
It's in the works.
Yes. We have plans.
Deb Niemeyer joins us as well. Deb, again, as Lorna said, first fundraiser here for the windows, and this is a pretty intensive project, isn't it?
It is. So we went looking online. We went looking for companies that did this kind of work, and got multiple ideas on how much this was going to cost, from over $200,000 down to $149,000 down to $70,000, and so that's kind of the goal right now, is that we're pushing toward that, hoping that we can do all windows to the $149,000 tone. But right now we have it, and so we start in increments, and we'll hope that as we go, we can fix especially those that are in desperate need.
Give us a little history of the windows. How long have they been installed there at the church?
Well, we have some old stuff here from things that Eleanor Poole had compiled and then give to the Madison Historical Society. And it said that new windows were put in about 1945. So I don't know what that really means, but most of them in the sanctuary and outside of, because I don't know if you know the history, but it was one little building that was our sanctuary now. And then they kept adding on, and as they added on, they had to take those windows out, and they put, if they were the stained glass ones, they put them someplace else in the new stuff. So you'll see the different add-ons that have stained glass in them also. So.
When you talk about restoration, then you got to carefully and meticulously, so you're not going to break the panes and things like that. It's quite an undertaking, isn't it?
They have brought in crane things before with elevator lifts and stuff, and I don't know if you see our lighted cross at night, but that was just a big round clear window that was up there, and then we bricked that in and put the see-through cement block light in there, and so at night that lights up. And we also had the other great big window. One was a 6-foot and one was an 8-foot round up there in the attic part, and we did have that one restored, and that was quite an undertaking too. I don't know, about 10 years, 7 years ago when we did that one. But yeah, it can be, and you want the right person doing it. So we're hoping that this company will do us well, and yeah.
Is the goal to do it all at once, or just kind of step by step?
As we get the money.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that what it's always about?
Yes.
Is as we get the money. So the church has committed, though, to this first step that will be the $70,000 one. And Lorna mentioned that it was a $12 price, but we are nonprofit, so if anybody would want to, make a larger donation at any time, we would accept that. And we do give out tax receipts too if they would need that.
Indeed. Let's talk a little bit about the history. I'm a little curious about the history of Park Street Church, and Ellen Keller Evans joins us. Your family, as I understand, were founding members. Is that
one of the founding members, correct. There were 16 families that came here in the 1850s. And they were Clark, Miller, Ross, Bays, Babb, Crumbecker, Howard, Fox, Klingler, which are my ancestors, Whitecraft, Shambaugh, Glazer, Ray, Davis, and Jones. It developed from there. They were just meeting anywhere they could meet. They did meet in other churches. They were down past the middle school, which is what's called Science Hill, I guess, or has been called Science Hill. I don't know.
I didn't know that.
But the original building that they had a building walking distance from here, actually, which is at the Pine River Cemetery. They had a church there. So that's why so many of the ancestors' names you'll recognize if you go through that cemetery. There are many of these names, the Klinglers and Snyders, that were buried there because that was their home base. So actually through my grandson, who is 13 right now, when he joins the church, he will be the 7th generation member of this church, if not 8th, because he's really, without my mom, Phyllis Keller, she's the one that really had a grip on all of this. But my grandson has really taken an interest in family history. So I called him the other night and I said, would you please help me starting back? He said, well, where do you want to start? And I said, well, I need to start with Orlo Klingler because he's also very interested in the cemeteries. And he said, okay, do you want to go forward or do you want to go backward? I said, Orlo Klingler was like in the 1850s. How can we go farther back? And he said, well, you know, his father, John Thomas, who married Sarah Sally. And I thought, oh my gosh. So he's really got his head wrapped around all of this, his family history. So I'm so grateful that he is interested in this. In fact, he talked me into coming up a year ago. And we had a list of cemeteries we needed to go through, including cleaning all of the stones for our families back 8 generations. So we were busy people doing this, but we're thrilled to have this happening now, to have the fundraiser for the windows, because it is such a beautiful, beautiful church, and it's so old. It did start, as Deb had mentioned, as just a little wooden church. Then over time it expanded, but they also picked it up and turned it a quarter turn so that the doors would be, so they could put a basement under it. The doors would be on the street sides and that they could add on in the proper area. But they literally picked it up and turned it a quarter turn. Then they put the brick facade on the front, and we've had addition on that as the church family grew. But it's just so wonderful to know that there are still the 8 generations here through our church, and the efforts that the church is now going through with Lorna and Deb to restore these windows. They're just gorgeous windows, but they need help. They really, really need help to be maintained and remain just as gorgeous as they are today.
So what year did it happen in Richland Center then? You mentioned it was in the Pine River area?
Pine River Cemetery, right. Literally at where the cemetery is, because I'm sure the church was there, and then they buried, as so many of the old churches did, they had their cemetery right there.
Right in the churchyard.
Just outside the church,
yeah.
Absolutely at the churchyard. So let's see, I can check my notes here, but 1867. When there was 2 congregations that combined, and they built on County O, right down here. So it's just amazing. I just love this historical part of it, and to know that we're still tied to the church, and that they are still working to maintain the beauty that our ancestors had intended. You know, they went to great efforts to make sure that these gorgeous, gorgeous windows in their place of worship was there, and now it's our job to maintain them and keep them as they are. But we need the help. We need the help to do it. We're not a huge congregation, so we really do need the help, and we're just thrilled that they're starting to do these fundraising efforts for the restoration.
You've attended since you were young?
Yes, mm-hmm. Because my family was there. My grandmother had her spot, in the back pew on the corner, right on the end. Don't you dare sit there, because my grandma is sitting right there. Here she comes, which was Phyllis's mother and her mother with her. So, yes, I have been there since I was born, and my parents were married there. And it's just kind of come full circle now that my grandson will be joining the church. So we're thrilled. But it was, 140 years ago? Next year it'll be 140 years that they've been there. But I was baptized and became a member of the church when I was 12. So if I was honest, I'd say it was about 55, 57 years ago. But, anyway, a long time that I've been there. But our family's been there. We were there from the day we got out of the hospital.
Wow. I'm just really impressed that your grandson, where does he find all the information for the family tree?
He digs, and my mom had some. So
Sure.
We have all, and she was so into the family history. So his great-grandma Phyllis, he was very close to her. So they would always share information, but he just dives into it, and he goes online, and I said, oh yeah, I know this, Jackson, I can tell you this. He goes, no, that's not right, because he can inform me it has to be online that he's finding all this, but he is so accurate. And then we'll go to the cemeteries, and he knows dates they were born. He knows the dates they died. He knows how many children they had and what their names were. So when I was speaking to him the other night about Orlo Klingler and Rachel, and he goes, and they had one daughter, and her name was Sarah Jane, and so he just goes on and on down the line. Oh, he is just amazing how he didn't even have to look it up. He has it in his head. So I'm just thrilled that he can carry on the family history, and not only the family history, but the church history. So to have him a 7th or 8th generation as a member of the church, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, you must be proud.
I am, and my parents would just be beside themselves.
They would.
They'd be so thrilled.
Yeah, Phyllis certainly would.
Yes.
And Deb, there are plates by the window. Some of the people that initially donated, are they going to stay the same then?
Oh, well, yes, they will, because they were the founders. They were the ones who gave. We haven't really put like stages of gift givers out there just yet. The thing is that it's an overwhelming project, first of all, and we want to give credit to those who did give of themselves at the very beginning. These names have been always a curiousness to me, because I wonder if there's other family members out and around the community, or someone knows these past family members that now my generation, just can say, hey, we're so thankful that your past family members were willing to do this and give, and sacrifice, because let's face it, pre-1945 or 1945, I'm sure people didn't have a lot of money to just put stained glass windows in a church, but they must have been wanting to do that. And so there might be something coming down the line if people give a large amount, that we would put another one. We're working on a membership roll right now too, just to get that more updated and accurate too. So
did you want to mention some of the names?
I'm actually sure, and if there's anybody out there listening that would know the this says, in memory of Ellen Miller Turpine, and forgive me if I don't say them right, Mr. and Mrs. Edward B. Stevens, in memory of Mrs. Floyd Travers, in memory of E. Ross Snyder, and in memory of our boys in service, and in memories of Mr. and Mrs. Charles Keyes. So that was Ellen's family.
Oh, sure.
There.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
The Keyes family.
So if anybody knows of those families, they should contact you.
And thank you to your past members, if they are into history, Ellen says her grandson really gets into that, and people do generational things nowadays, and maybe they would like to just stop in to our fundraiser meal tonight and see the nameplates, or maybe take some pictures, and we welcome that.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to mention, too, that this is the weekend for Little Lamb's Closet and free milk and cheese. You guys do that. I'm amazed that you do that as often as you do.
Well, COVID hit, and there was a need, and so everybody was doing drive-bys. And some ladies, said, hey, let's do something, and it has carried on since then. The community members are very appreciative of that. Lorna gets in on that on Saturday. It's coming up. And we started taking prayer requests, and that is really awesome, that someone will give a prayer request, and then a month or two they'll say, oh, thank you for praying because this was answered. And that is just an affirmation to us that what little bit we can do on the third Saturday of each month really is reaching out to the community, and that's what it's all about.
It's got to be rewarding, Lorna.
I love it. The best part, of the cheese and milk giveaway is the prayer requests. And we have started also just praying right there with them when they pick up their milk and cheese for whatever the request is. But then we also make a list of that and hand it out to the people in the church to pray for these people who have needs. We all have needs, special requests. And we have answered prayers to testify to. We had a mother come through and say that her son was addicted to drugs and went into a treatment facility, and, she asked for prayers, and he's now doing well. that is just wonderful. God's answering prayers, and we're helping to facilitate that through our people in the church and through the milk and cheese.
I'm sure you're helping some people get back on their feet, and then
Yes.
they maybe come back and volunteer and help in the future.
We've had people make some donations, but, we have families that come through or grandparents that have their grandchildren, and they ask for extra, and we give them extra. If you've got 6 children in the house, you need more than, one milk and one cheese, and we would gladly do that. And other people will come through and say, can I take one to my neighbor? Yes. We would like you to do that because we don't know who the neighbor is that needs this. So I think it's an awesome project. I enjoy it so much when we do it. And it's this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's impressive, too. It's not just for church members, too.
No,
for
it's anybody. It's anybody.
And how do you make the money to put that together? Is it just through tithing, or what is it?
Well, we have people donate money specifically for cheese and milk. And it also Bibles. We hand out Bibles also if they don't have one when we do the milk and cheese. And yes, people will designate along with their tithe, money for the milk and cheese project. And it's very much appreciated. We have a church in town that has donated money for our milk and cheese project, which we appreciate very, very much.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're all in it for the same reason,
Yes.
basically, right?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add today, Deb?
You mentioned the Little Lamb's Closet.
Right.
I'll put
That's
just
tomorrow,
a little
too.
plug in for that, too. Thank you that we came a long time ago, but that's sponsored by the Richland County Right to Life, but the Park Street Christian Church does allow us to use one of their rooms. And so on that same third Saturday, 0 to 2 clothing for infants and free diapers. So if moms, families are out there and have that need, we like to see them 9:30 to 11:30.
That's tomorrow, too.
That's tomorrow.
You guys will be busy.
Yes.
And then the supper tonight, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, please
Don't
come.
forget.
You'll have to get a nap tomorrow afternoon, Lorna. After
Oh, yeah, I get a nap in the afternoon. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the windows.
Yes.
Absolutely, and take a look at those. Ellen, thanks for coming in. We appreciate all that
Oh,
history.
I appreciate so much being able to come up and help out with the church anytime I can. I absolutely love this town, and it's in my blood, I think,
Right.
to be here and help any way I can.
Sounds like you need to write a history, though. You need to put that together.
We could probably compile quite the history. I'll get my mom's information, which is packed in boxes yet, and my grandson, and we can probably come up with something. That's a great idea, Phil. Thank you.
Good fundraiser for the future, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, good luck with all your projects, ladies.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
You bet. Thanks for what you do. Deb Niemeyer, Lorna Maxwell, Ellen Keller-Evans joining us. The Park Street Christian Church offering up the hot turkey sandwich meal this very evening from 4 until gone.